extremely important. And you a lot of times had wise men around you or astrologers, people that would interpret dreams, because if you were a king and you needed information from God or gods, you needed to know what that meant so you could make proper decisions for your kingdom and be appropriate, right? Does it make sense to everybody, okay? So dreams are extremely important. You kind of have to know that getting into Daniel 2. And then also, Daniel. Let's talk about who he is that we read out in chapter 1, but I'm not going to go through all of it for you, but I'll just give you this idea. He was a Hebrew guy who, when the Jewish kingdom was conquered by the Babylonians, okay? So they were in exile to Babylon. They were basically like what did I call them earlier today, Tosh? Their servants, or like they're prisoners of war is what I said, I think, earlier. Well, and so they had done, the Hebrew people had done really bad things. God allowed them to be conquered. So now they have to answer to this king of Babylon, who was Nebuchadnezzar, whatever you want, however you want to end it, okay? So he is, Daniel, is a very devout Jewish man. He believes in God, he serves God, he honors God, and he does not lose his faith even though he went into exile, into a different foreign country, into Babylon, right? And he was asked to be part of the king's palace or his court kind of as a dream interpreter, as a wise man, as someone like that, because he was intelligent, he was without physical defect, he was quick to learn and understand things. So he was handpicked along with his 3 other buddies, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, to be on Nebuchadnezzar's court to do these things. And but he never lost his faith, and he kept faithful to God the whole entire time. Okay? So those are a couple things I just want to set the groundwork for with Daniel. All right. So let's get into Daniel 2 and start reading the story. All right, so Daniel 2. In the 2nd year of the reign, Nebuchadnezzar had dreams. His mind was troubled, and he could not sleep. So the king summoned the magicians, enchanters, sorcerers, and astrologers to tell him what he had dreamed. When they came in and stood before the king, he said to them, I have a dream that troubles me, and I want to know what it means. Then the astrologers answered the king in Aramaic, O king, live forever. Tell your servants the dream, and we will interpret it. The king replied to the astrologers, This is what I have firmly decided. If you do not tell me what my dream was and interpret it, I will have you cut into pieces and your houses turned into piles of rubble. I know, right? Wow, exactly. But if you tell me the dream and explain it, you will receive from me gifts and rewards and great honor. So, tell me the dream and interpret it for me. And I have a picture here. Oh, no. There's the wise, these are the astrologers in front of Nebuchadnezzar. I think this is an actual photo taken of the time. I'm on my game today. And I do want to point out that Nebuchadnezzar, although he's kind of mean, and this is really rough, he is a cat guy. Let's point that out. Like, yeah, he's a cat guy. Anyway, okay. So, rough. We're going to be cut into pieces. Okay, let's keep moving forward. Okay, once more they replied, let the king tell his servants the dream, and we will interpret it. Then the king answered, I am certain that you're trying to gain time because you realize that this is what I have firmly decided. If you do not tell me the dream, there is just one penalty for you. You have conspired to tell me misleading and wicked things, hoping the situation will change. So then, tell me the dream, and I will know that you can interpret it for me. The astrologers answered the king, there is not a man on earth who can do what the king asked. No king, however great and mighty, has ever asked such a thing of any magician or enchanter or astrologer. What the king asks is too difficult. No one can reveal it to the king except the gods, and they do not live among men. This made the king so angry and furious that he ordered the execution of all the wise men of Babylon. So the decree was issued to put the wise men to death, and men were sent to look for Daniel and his friends to put them to death. When Arioch, the commander of the king's guard, had gone out to put to death the wise men of Babylon, Daniel spoke to him with wisdom and tact. He asked the king's officer, why Oh, good, I have a Bible verse there. Okay. Why did the king issue such a harsh decree? Arioch then explained the matter to Daniel. At this, Daniel went into the king and asked for time so that he might interpret the dream for him. Okay, this brings me to point one of the final 4 points. Daniel's life is at stake, right? I mean, we hear that this king is not logical. Who here could tell me what I dreamt last night and then interpret it for me? Right, exactly. It just sounds impossible. And the guys are trying to tell him, look, this is not possible. What you're asking, no man on earth can do. So he's ordered everybody to be just put to death. Like, that just seems like the logical answer, right? Okay, well, then if you can't do it, off with your heads, okay? This is a ruthless, heartless guy, and I can only imagine what Daniel was feeling. Can you think of some of the emotions? Scared, frustrated, hopeless probably, hoping he had his affairs in order, full of doubt. I would be like, it's come to this. It's come to this. I've got to interpret a dream a guy had that I have no idea. Or I've got to tell him the dream and interpret it all at the same time. This is craziness, right? But what did Daniel do instead of being the emotional mess that I would have been? In verse 14, no, wait, let me back. Yeah, 14, he says that he spoke with wisdom and tact. Who here speaks with wisdom and tact when a challenge is coming to you? Challenge is on the way. Things are really, really bad. It's looking grave, if you will, even in this case. Wisdom and tact is what this guy did. This is the characteristic of the man. What a guy. That he could speak with wisdom and tact. Speaking with wisdom means that he spoke with knowledge, insight, good sense, common sense, and good judgment. Speaking with tact means he spoke with, and I quoted this, so I must have looked this up online, sensitivity and a keen sense of what to say or do in order to maintain good relations with others and avoid offense. That was probably a smart thing to do, right? For the guy who's ordered you to be, he's like, let me think about this. Let me speak with wisdom and tact. I want to keep this relationship going here because I want to try to see what God can do through me to deal with this situation. He got the news and the information from the king's guard, and he knew immediately how to communicate with the king. To me, that's amazing because I am not that level-headed sometimes. I will just admit it to you. And I know we all have emotions, right? We're like, oh my gosh, we go right to whatever and try to problem solve or whatever, but instead he just spoke with wisdom and tact to the king, and he's like, hey, he wanted to get some time to see if he could come up with the dream and then deliver the interpretation for the dream. That's point number 1. When challenges come to us, let's speak with wisdom and tact. Perfect example. All right, let's continue on. I'm at 17 now, I think. Then Daniel returned to his house and explained the matter to his friends. Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego. They have their other names in here, but I'm going to go with that. He urged them to plead for mercy from the God of heaven concerning this mystery, so that he and his friends might not be executed with the rest of the wise men of Babylon. So here's an actual picture of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Oh, you guys, it's fun to do this. I love this job. I really do. It's good. Anyway, that might not be them exactly, but that's kind of what they look. They're jolly, a jolly old bunch. This brings me to point number 2. When stuff comes at us, we should probably get our closest friends involved in prayer with us. Yeah? I hear that from this church. We're a church of prayer, aren't we? Look, we're not supposed to do these things in life alone, especially the challenges that come at us. So after we've talked to that, whatever the challenge is, with wisdom and tact, we need to get a hold of our friends and say, look, I need prayer in this area, and this is what I need prayer for. God created a church for that reason. I think I'm preaching to the choir is what's happening right here, right? I know you guys know this, but it is a nice reminder, and more than anything, it was just a biblical example of that is what we need to do when we come up against things that happen in life. We need to petition to God together as one big church, one big family, friends, however you look at it. And there's 2 pieces of this puzzle, right? There's the person who asks for the prayer, and then there's the person who was asked and prays. The person who asks needs to understand, okay, yeah, it's scriptural. This is what we need to do. We need to go and ask other people to pray with us or pray for us. And it doesn't have to be in great detail about what's going on, and there doesn't need to be anything. It's not a gossip time or anything. It is a, hey, I need prayer about this. Then the person receiving that information says, great, I'm going to pray for you. Doesn't ask a bunch of questions, doesn't gossip about it or call somebody else, doesn't post it on Facebook about something that they shouldn't. It's just between two individuals say, I need prayer. You got it. I will do that for you. That's exactly what they did here. Daniel didn't go asking a bunch of people other things, and when he went to his friends, they just went into prayer with him. There was nothing more than those two things, and I think that's what I really take from this lesson is it's asked, it's done, that's the end of it. But we have to ask each other for prayer and to help support each other. Galatians 1:2 says that when we bear one another's burdens, we fulfill the law of Christ. So Daniel's fulfilling the law of Christ in the Old Testament, not surprised. But that's what we need to do. That's what Jesus encourages us to do, and that's what Daniel's example has us do. We're given people in our life and a support system for a reason. Use it, and use it in prayer and use it properly. And if you are that support system, that is a very important, very scriptural thing. We need to take it seriously, and we need to just get on our knees in prayer for people and individuals when they come to us that they need it. So, point number 2, get your friends together and ask for prayer. That's what he did with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and they did. Verse 19, during the night, the mystery was revealed to Daniel in a vision. What do you know? God answered his prayer. Then Daniel praised the God of heaven and said, praise be to the name of God forever and ever. Wisdom and power are his. He changes times and seasons. He sets up kings and disposes them. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to the discerning. He reveals deep and hidden things. He knows what lies in darkness. The light dwells with him. I thank and praise you, O God of my fathers. You have given me wisdom and power. You have made known to me what we asked of you. You have made known to us the dream of the king. Point number 3. When God answers our prayers, we have to praise him. We shout out his praise. That's where the song came from today, right? When stuff happens and we've prayed and our friends are with us and we've prayed together, then when it's answered and we have victory over that, the first thing we do, not the second, not the third, not the fourth, not after a phone call, not after a post, not after a whatever, not after a conversation with whomever. The first thing we do is praise God for being the awesome, amazing, magnificent God who answers and heard our prayer. That's what Daniel did. He didn't even talk to anybody else. He didn't even run. Look, his life is on the line. He could have gotten the answer and been like, I'm up, I'm out of here, I'm going to Nebuchadnezzar right now. No, he took a minute and praised God for giving him the answer. Then he goes and interprets the dream because he's still got to save everybody's life, right? That's the first thing we have to do. We've prayed, we've got people together, and then we praise. Sometimes, I think in our human minds, I've done this in my life, I'm sure you have too, we forget who gave us the blessing or who answered prayer. We're like, oh, look at what we did. It's like, no, it wasn't me at all. We didn't do anything. God did. And so sometimes we get wrapped up in us, and we need to remember, oh, whoa, hold on, whoa, wait a minute. It wasn't me. I didn't do that. God did it. And the praise and glory has to go to him first thing. I can't emphasize that enough. Take this example. What a guy Daniel was, right? First thing, praise God. All right, so I'm at verse 24. Then Daniel went to Arioch, whom the king had appointed to execute the wise men of Babylon, and said to him, do not execute the wise men of Babylon. Take me to the king, and I will interpret his dream for him. Arioch took Daniel to the king at once and said, I have found a man among the exiles from Judah who can tell the king what his dream means. The king asked Daniel, are you able to tell me what I saw in my dream and interpret it? Daniel replied, I love this. No wise man, enchanter, magician, or diviner, however you say that, can explain to the king the mystery he has asked about. But there is a God in heaven who reveals mysteries. He has shown King Nebuchadnezzar what will happen in days to come. Your dream and the visions that pass through your mind as you lay on your bed are these. And he's going to interpret the dream. But first, I want to go back to point number 3. Giving God the glory. He's standing in front of the king. And the king's like, can you do it? And he's like, nope, I cannot. But God can. but God can. I love that answer that he gave, man. Once again, he's given God the praise and the glory first. Here's the dream. As you were lying there, O king, your mind turned to things to come, and the revealer of mysteries showed you what is going to happen. As for me, this mystery has been revealed to me, not because I have greater wisdom than other living men, but so that you, O king, may know the interpretation, and that you may understand what went through your mind. You looked, O king, and there before you stood a large statue, an enormous, dazzling statue, awesome in appearance. The head of that statue was made of pure gold, its chest and arms of silver, and its belly and thighs of bronze, its legs of iron, its feet partly of iron, and partly of baked clay. While you were watching, a rock was cut out, but not by human hands. It struck the statue on its feet of iron and clay and smashed them. Then the iron, the clay, the bronze, the silver, the gold were broken to pieces at the same time and became like chaff on a threshing floor in the summer. The wind swept them away without leaving a trace. But the rock that struck the statue became a huge mountain and filled the whole earth. This was the dream, and now we will interpret it to the king. We? I thought he was there by himself. Who's we? Brings up point number 4. I think, and I heard people say God, which is a really good answer, but I think he was giving credit to his 3 buddies who prayed with him, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He's saying, look, they were the ones that were with him and got him. They did their part, right? He said, I need help in this area. They did their part, and he wants to make sure that they get credit for what happened. And I like that about the guy, too, because I'm all about team. I love that. So he wanted to make sure that the answer that he gave the king knew, hey, it wasn't just me. I got a team of people behind me. They were praying for me all night. And because of them praying for me, I was able to tell you what your dream is, and I'm getting ready to interpret it for you. So point number 4 to me is when we have those victories and we've given God the praise, then bring our friends along for the victory march, if you will, right? Point number 4 is give your friends and bring your people along with you to help you in that. I know for me, this is a great example. Like, when we have success, let's bring along those people that help us have success in our life. In my household right now, Natasha is going to school. And I feel like, and by the way, she's crushing it. But anyway, I feel like when she gets 10 out of 10 on something or she gets an A in something, she makes me feel like I'm part of it. And I like that, right? Because in the meantime, I'm trying to keep the cats alive, the laundry done, groceries somewhere in the pantry or in the refrigerator, right? It's a team effort, and that's so nice when you're involved in a team. And Daniel was so cool to bring his friends along. Tonight, there's going to be a new national champion in women's basketball, and I hope that it is. Yes, I do hope that it's South Carolina. Yes, I do. But it takes a whole team of people to make a championship, right? I mean, if you've been on any team, anything, you understand that whether you're the MVP of it or the person that's the assistant coach to the assistant coach, it takes everybody to make something successful and to make it happen. And that's what Daniel's doing here. He's like, we're going to interpret this dream. And we as my buddies, we were all in this together. We're all going to cut down the nets together. We're all going to get a degree together. We're all going to tell people about Jesus together. We're all going to pray together, right? So that's the 4th point that I absolutely love about him. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, there he is. He's telling him about the dream. This is an actual photo once again. Actual photo of what happened on that day. So no matter what you do or what you're a part of, a task, a ministry, or anything, we should all feel a part of success in whatever you're doing, whether you're leading it or following it. Everybody together makes everything happen, and especially in this church. No matter what you do or what you're a part of, we appreciate it because everybody's involved of the bigger thing, which is spiritual enrichment and growth and showing Jesus outside of these walls. Daniel just showed us how important that was, and I dig it about this guy. What a man, right? What a guy. I like it. His friends helped him, and he remembered, and he gave credit where credit was due. So let's read the rest of the story, shall we? Do you guys want to know how it ends? All right, good. I'm glad you do, because we're doing it anyway. You, O king, are the King of kings. The God of heaven has given you the God of heaven has given you dominion and power and might and glory. In your hands he has placed mankind and the beasts of the field and the birds of the air. Wherever they live, he has made you rule over them all. You are that head of gold. And you, another kingdom will rise inferior to yours. Next, a third kingdom, one of bronze, will rule over the whole earth. Finally, there will be a fourth kingdom, strong as iron, for iron breaks and smashes everything. And as iron breaks things into pieces, so it will crush and break all the others. Just as you saw that the feet and toes were partly of baked clay and partly of iron, so this will be a divided kingdom. Yet it will have some of the strength of iron in it, even as you saw iron mixed with clay. As the toes were partly iron and partly clay, so this kingdom will be partly strong, partly brittle. And just as you saw the iron mixed with baked clay, so the people will be a mixture and will not remain united, any more than iron mixes with clay. In the time of those kings, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom that will never be destroyed, nor will it be left to another people. It will crush all those kingdoms and bring them to an end, but it will itself endure forever. This is the meaning of the vision of the rock cut out of a mountain, but not by human hands, a rock that broke the iron, the bronze, the clay, the silver, and the gold to pieces. The great God has shown the king what will take place in the future. The dream is true and interpretation is trustworthy. I love that he was confident in it too. The dream is true and the interpretation is trustworthy. Then King Nebuchadnezzar fell prostrate before Daniel and paid him honor and ordered that an offering and incense be presented to him. There is a picture of that. Look at that. Yep, exactly. The king said to Daniel, surely your God is the God of gods and the Lord of kings and a revealer of mysteries, for you were able to reveal this mystery. Look what he did. He just showed Nebuchadnezzar, who's the God of God and the King of kings. He's like, yeah, I got the God who's got it. And Nebuchadnezzar's like, yeah, I believe that. Then the king placed Daniel in a high position and lavished many gifts on him. He made him ruler over the entire province of Babylon and placed him in charge of all its wise men. He got a major promotion. Moreover, at Daniel's request, the king appointed Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego administrators over the province of Babylon, while Daniel himself remained at the royal court. And because he gave Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego credit for what they did, they also got a promotion in this, right? Lives are saved, everybody's promoted, everybody's happy. I love a happy ending story like this one is, right? How awesome. We totally see the kind of guy that Daniel is. And I really love his example, as I've said a couple times already in the sermon. I love the examples that he gives us about a challenging time, because we live in challenging times, do we not, right? When those things come our way, there's 4 different things that we can do, right? We can approach those challenges with wisdom and tact, right? Yes? Everybody's going to do that? Okay, good. We are going to get our friends involved to help us pray. We're going to get those spiritually sound people in our lives that we know that are just going to pray about this. We're going to give God praise all day long when we get out of that challenge, right? And then what was my 4th point? It's already just escaped me. Teamwork. I love you guys are paying attention. Yes, we're going to bring the team along for the victory parade. We're going to cut the nets down together, if you will, in honor of the Final 4. Those are the things that can happen. Things like this can happen in our life, right? We may not be threatened within an inch of our life or to be chopped up and our houses burned. But it feels like that sometimes, right? It's like, oh man, look at all this stuff coming at us. Remember those 4 things. It's going to make things so much easier. And I love the example. This is why we read the Bible, right? Let's take this example of Daniel and let's put it to action. It's not about just what happens here. Oh, great, that was a good sermon, Pastor Jamie, and then go off and the first thing that happens, we speak with non-wisdom and non-tact, right? Let's try to do that. That's the first step, right? Keep relationships intact so we can deal with them. What a man of God. What a great guy. I know I want to be more like that. And as we go into this last song, we're going to sing an oldie but a goodie. You can either sing along with us or you can just sit there and kind of marinate on these 4 points of this sermon, of this lesson, and just think about what you need to do. If any of those 4 points if they're all great, great. But I have a feeling we all can work on something, right? Think about what you can work on. Have God speak to you, talk to you. Let's take time to just put this into our heads and try to be more like the example that Daniel set when that challenge comes your way and it looks mighty and impossible. Remember, this was totally impossible. And God, through Daniel, made the impossible